But let's cover some things that are kind of important. So do you guys know that pastor up in New York called Pastor Manning? He's famous for his billboards that are really derogatory towards the LGBT community. And yeah, so this time he said something very very threatening. Basically, there's a YouTube video for it. I suggest you just look up this title, "We Will Piss on Your Grave." That seems very Christian-y to me. So let's see. He says, "You come to the Atala World Ministry Church. You try to get into the pulpit, or you try to get anywhere and put hands on me or Elizabeth." Elizabeth, was that from that one show? I can't remember that show where Elizabeth was the wife and it was like, "I'm coming for you, Elizabeth. I'm coming." But here's what's gonna happen. The men of the church are going to immediately leave the service and find your family members and castrate the men and slit the throats of the women. Because if that doesn't scream Christian, I don't know what does. So let me get this straight, Pastor. Your people in the ministry are literally going to leave the church and go and commit crimes just because these theoretical protesters who have come up into your pulpit have come up there and laid hands on you. I mean, what does that even mean? I mean, laying hands on you. Would it just be coming up there and like saying, "Hey, can I just have a minute," and like touching you on the shoulder? Or are you talking about getting punched in the face? Either way, I don't think that it's a very rational response for you to be like, "Look, all these men's right here, all these men's are going to be going, out, finding your family, castrating them, and slitting your women's throats." I mean, holy crap, dude! Is there any way that you could sound like any more Christian? Because that really does sound like something God would tell you to do. Go and utterly destroy this one particular tribe because I told you to. Kind of seems like a warlord to me. Such internet violence. I feel harassed. Oh man. All right. Also, you know Jerry Falwell. Did you know that he has a son, Jerry Falwell Jr.? Well, Junior here thinks that you need to take up arms and just go around killing Muslims. A lot of people like to spout off this whole idea of Islamophobia. But it would a better term, a term that's not useless, is Islamophobia. That's a really hard word to say, which I guess is why they went with Islamophobia, because it just rolls off the tongue easily, right? But basically, he's suffering from bigotry and xenophobia, because he says right here. He says right here, "I've always thought if more good people had concealed carry permits, then we could end those Muslims before they walked in." Oh yeah, just end them. You see a Muslim coming into a coffee shop and they just look a little suspicious to you. Just pull out your 45, cap them in the head because they deserve it, because they're walking into an American establishment and while being Muslim. That's just American, okay? That's what needs to happen. They want to sit over there and cut our heads off. Every single Muslim over there wants to cut our heads off. Therefore, we're going to put a bullet in their head. If one of them walks in here, I don't care. I don't care if they're American or not. I want to shoot them in the head. Oh man. Okay, and then let's see. He clears it up a little bit. The Christian students reportedly erupted into applause when Falwell called for them to carry guns and end those Muslims. How scary is that? How scary is that? It really does make it seem like there's this Christian army brewing up with like handguns and assault rifles. They're just ready to just screw this nation over big time. After the fierce backlash on social media, because he's not in his echo chamber on social media, you've actually got rational people that are like, whoa, wait a second. What are you doing here? What'd you say? Falwell tried to do some damage control via Twitter, insisting that he was referring to the radical Islamic terrorists who carried out attacks in Paris and San Bernardino, tweeting, "I was referring to those Muslims that carried out the attacks in Paris and California." Now, I would like to preface with this. Compare this to the women, the women, because it's been women. Not to say that it's a gender thing at all, just specifying that it was women that did it. That were in like parking lots. Because there's been a couple incidents of women being in parking lots, well, people being in parking lots and taking it upon themselves to dole out some vigilante justice, right? And shooting shoplifters and whatnot. Because, you know, if you steal a pack of bubble gum, you definitely need to take a bullet in the butt. Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't see how you can go wrong with putting a bullet in the back of an individual that stole some bubblegum. But for what he's calling for here, more good people to carry concealed weapon permits and end those Muslims before they walked in. How do you know, like what the deal with the Paris attacks and San Bernardino, you had multiple assailants that were conducting these things. How do you know somebody is an assailant? Now, of course, there's the obvious thing. They're like carrying a bomb, they're carrying assault rifles or whatnot. But what if you get the people that are out there that are so scared and they have a gun and, you know, they're like, oh my God, he looks Muslim. Pow, 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 pow. And end a life that was innocent, that had nothing to do with whatever the heck was going on, right? I mean, how can you really advocate for that kind of thing? Because that would happen. I mean, who knows who's a terrorist or whatnot? Why can't you just focus on getting people out of the line of fire, getting people safe, preventing more victims from being created? Why can't you focus on that? Why do you have to go to the whole, let's get our guns and show them what America's made of? Okay, and then I'm not gonna play his clip. I'm not. But it is something that comes up pretty often. Blaming Joshua Fierstein, he blames California shootings on the lack of forced prayer in public schools, and he paints this picture of us being built on a Judeo-Christian nation, right, or Judeo-Christian values and whatnot, but we're really not. I mean, that's easy to debunk. It's been debunked a lot of times, but I really don't see how taking prayer out of public schools has caused ISIS to come over here. I mean, like are the ISIS guys over there in Syria, and they're just like, man, there's not enough Christian prayer in public schools over there. That means that we can go in there and we could just kill them because God's not protecting them. Well, their God. Our God says go and kill them. But, you know, they don't have enough prayer in schools over there. They don't have enough forced prayer everywhere. They don't acknowledge their God, so they must be open to attack. Let's just go over there and let's do it. Recently, he blamed godlessness, a godless America, as being the reason why all these attacks are happening. This is very dangerous thinking, and it's thinking that a lot of Christians have, and they express, because in order, okay, to focus on, you know, taking prayer to school or stopping from praising the Almighty God, is deterring from actually addressing the problem. That is the real issue with this, and that's all Joshua Fierstein is doing at this point. He's throwing a red herring in there and diverting from the actual issues at play here, which are you know, gun safety, you know, terrorist actions, you know, making sure that people are responsible with their firearms. You know, and of course, This is only part of it, but tightening up gun control, making some new gun control laws that fine-tune the ones that are already in place. There's no need for an overhaul. We just got to fine-tune that stuff just a little bit, you know? We got to make sure that people who don't have domestic abuse reports and a pattern of violence from getting a weapon. That's what we need to do. I really don't understand when people hear gun control, their sphincters tighten up so tight they don't want to listen to any kind of rational argument. Hello everybody that joined the chat while I was ranting. Abo X Hazy. Yeah, that's the only one that I see new here. I hope Lily and everybody's still with me, even though I'm ranting about religion and politics. But that's all for today. And now we're gonna start some Far Cry 4. Well, apparently Matt Barber today says that Christian terrorists don't exist, despite all the examples that we've been getting here lately, which is kind of funny because what he does actually is he performs kind of like a no true Scotsman fallacy here, but also shows that he's a hypocrite when he claims, what a true Muslim is. So basically, what Matt here is doing is he's denouncing, these supposed Christian terrorists. They are Christian terrorists if they attack and they cause terror and violence for the purposes of enacting some kind of political change. They're terrorists. That's what Bambi, or that deer guy, did to Planned Parenthood in Colorado. He was a Christian terrorist by all definitions. But apparently not to Matt. According to Matt, they're not true Christians. But apparently when it comes to declaring what a true Muslim is, he knows exactly what the fuck he's talking about. Because he says that those that are radical are actually following the faith closer than, the other Muslims. Now, that honestly kind of sounds like something that I've heard atheists say, is that the radical Muslims are actually practicing the faith a bit better or closer to the dogma, at least a literal interpretation, which is true for a literal interpretation. But it's really wrong to deny that other Muslims have figured out how to practice their faith in different ways. Just like Christians have figured out how to implement their faith without, owning slaves, Muslims have figured out how to do it without cutting the heads off of non-believers. So Matt here, he goes on to say, those who fall into that elusive, perpetually mute category tagged moderate Muslims are also infidels or idolaters. They're bad Muslims, and so according to the Quran, not Muslims at all. That's one interpretation of it. It's one interpretation of the Quran and whatnot. So I don't necessarily subscribe to that thought right there, but I think that it's quite ridiculous for you to really lump all of one group in with one particular interpretation. That would be kind of like me lumping all Christians in with the Westboro Baptist Church. That's not right. I mean, just because you don't practice Christianity like the Westboro Baptist Church doesn't mean that you're not Christian. Just because a Muslim doesn't practice the faith exactly like the radical Muslims do doesn't mean that they're not Muslim. Now you can argue whether or not they're practicing the religion correctly, but you see that's the problem with religion, is that it has a lot of different definitions, or not definitions but interpretations, and so you really can't pin it down. I mean, honestly, you can't pin it down to one interpretation is correct above all else. It's not like a literal interpretation of the Bible is the correct and only version of it that you have to go with. It depends on what perspective you're coming at it with. And I think that this is basically what he's neglecting to do here. He says, it's true that the Quran says those things. This is Hemet Meta talking now. I get genuinely frustrated by people who refuse to acknowledge that fact. At the same time, I'm well aware that most Muslims could give you reasons for why those rules no longer apply, just like Christians. To say that they're bad Muslims because they're good people is absurd. Well, that's right. I mean, all of this parallels Christianity perfectly. And well, where I get frustrated, which I think is where Himmet is coming from, is the fact that a lot of people say that the radical Muslims aren't real Muslims or whatnot. Generally, that's kind of what I hear, and I would say that no, they are definitely real Muslims, just like the moderate Muslims are real Muslims. They just have different interpretations. One of the interpretations includes cutting people's fucking heads off, and the other one doesn't. They just want to see people jailed for it. Now, there are some Muslims out there, I'll admit, that don't want to see them jailed or whatnot, that actually can practice their faith without having to push it on everybody else. But I think that they're kind of a minority group right now, and that minority group really needs to be a lot more vocal. Hello, Christina, in the chat. How are you doing? Hope I've started it. Doesn't. They just want to see people jailed. Yeah, okay. Definitely have started it. Turns out like there's nobody watching though, so but that's okay. That's okay. I'm here for myself anyways. I know one person's watching. All right. So let us get to the next one. But I like it, and that's what matters. So, this is a very Muslim-filled episode, apparently. Or well, I guess this one's Syrian refugees. Nevada Republican on Syrian refugees. I'm about to fly to Paris and shoot him in the head myself. Wait, nice campaign tactic there. Along with your friggin' quiverful family that apparently you're building there. All equipped with weaponry to boot. Let's see. Nevada Republican Michele Fiore got herself on CNN last Christmas by posting a Christmas card with her family all holding guns, which is that right there. And then, I'm sorry, but the first thing I thought of was Big Boobs McGee. Michele Fiore's 2016 Walk the Talk Second Amendment calendar. She's got a calendar. And apparently it's not a joke. See, oh my goodness. Oh, what is this? Hold on. We gotta get all this in here. January is National Self-Defense Awareness Month, but sometimes awareness is not enough. Okay. January. Oh man, you only got the one. January 2016. Okay. Okay, so Michele Fiore, okay, yeah, that ego. Let's see. I often hear the term gun fetishists. Yeah, I would say this woman fits the bill for a gun fetishist. And think to myself that that's a hyperbole, but that doesn't contribute to the conversation. However, here it might actually apply. I need that calendar in my life. Yeah, me too. And now Michelle apparently thinks trying to be safe from terrorists, like the Republicans purport to be doing for America, is a crime worthy of death by vigilante justice. Um, let's see. Nevada Assemblywoman Michele Fiore last month dismissed a statement from Nevada Republicans calling for the state to bar refugees from Syria and said that she is prepared to travel to Paris and shoot Syrian refugees herself. Oh, jeez, she actually said that. During her weekly show on Las Vegas radio station KWDN, Fiore discussed why she did not sign on to the statement from the Republican members of the state assembly opposing resettling refugees in Nevada. Fiore recounted the conversation, blah, blah, blah. What, are you kidding me? I'm about to fly to Paris and shoot him in the head myself, Fiore said. She told Muth when she asked why she didn't join the statement on the scene. Why? Why would you want to shoot these refugees? These refugees, I mean, okay, look, grasp what is actually being said here. It's like these refugees are fleeing a country where they're afraid to be shot, where they're most likely going to be killed because they don't subscribe to the same type of Islam that these friggin' radicals do. But then you've got Michele Fiore, a Nevada politician that wants to fly to Paris and shoot these people that are fleeing people with guns. I don't know what her plan is to get guns past customs. I'm wondering if she thinks that she's got that immunity from Lethal Weapon 2, and she just thinks that she's gonna be like, diplomatic immunity, and then like shoot a Syrian refugee in the head. I don't know what her plan is. It's not good though, and it's quite ridiculous there, Michelle. I think you need to possibly stick to making calendars. I mean, just because that's not what a good politician would say. I mean, there are other ways that you can help the Syrian refugees, and you don't have to bring them into your state. You could possibly, help settle them somewhere near Syria. It's actually not a good idea to just totally take them out of the region and whatnot. Helping them settle in nearby countries is actually a better plan. So I don't understand why you would want. It just seems to me like you're an ammo-sexual possibly, and you're just wanting to go and shoot somebody, and you need absolutely any reason in order to do that, and you've chosen this particular one. So congrats, Michele Fiore, for being our Christian politician of the week. All right, now we've got a Monroeville officials face lawsuit threat after mayor opens meetings with the Lord's Prayer. This is just another thing in a long line of prayers that have been happening in these meetings. And it's not necessarily the problem of the Lord's Prayer. It's the problem is when you only restrict it to like a Christian prayer. If you don't allow other individuals to deliver invocations like that, then you're breaking the law. It's pretty much that simple. Let's see. What they absolutely cannot do is only have Christian prayers at meetings and have council members deliver those prayers. Right. It's got to be somebody that's not being paid. And then it goes on to say the organization has determined that Monroeville Council is violating the First Amendment Establishment Clause, which prohibits the government from preferring one religion over another. We are preparing, yeah. So basically, it's exactly what I was talking about. I mean, apparently they're only allowing Christian prayers, which is wrong, and they're suffering the consequences of it. So I hope that the ACLU wins this particular thing, because every single one of these instances is important for us to speak up and out against and to bring attention to. So I really hope that it gets resolved. And now finally, let me resize this. Trump. Trump is planning for some reason and somehow He wants to ban all Muslims from entering the country. Because it's only Muslims that are Christian terrorists. It's not like we had a Christian shoot up a Planned Parenthood recently. God forbid if there's not a Santa on every fucking cup in the nation right now. Oh, no, come on. Not an ad. So let's see. The Republican presidential frontrunner Trump, Donald J. Trump, is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what's going on. Why just Muslims? Like, are you gonna have a Muslim test? Like, okay, look, sir, your beard is about 4 inches long, and your name's Muhammad. You're a Muslim. But apparently he wants to shut them out. I think that we should definitely disallow any Muslims from coming in. Any of them. The reason is simple. We can't identify what their attitude is. Excuse me, Trump, but we can't identify what a Christian's attitude is. Honestly, we don't know if he's going to go and shoot up a Planned Parenthood, he's going to go and beat his child to death, or if he's going to go and rape a small child. We don't know their intentions. We should stop allowing Christians into this nation. But I'm not trying to be a Muslim apologist like a lot of people are trying to make me out to be. I'm just an advocate for treating people equally. You know, that silly little thing called equal rights. That's what I'm fighting for. And it really does make me mad when people tell me, well, you should be the Muslim engineer. That's what you should be. I had that comment on my page today, so... Anyways, those are the current events that are going on.